Not that Jim Koch would want you to do that. The man behind Sam Adams Beer, if you look back at his early career, the mid-1980s, when he came up with this idea, his own dad, a brewer, thought that, you know what, son, you could do better things. You got a top degree, multiple degrees from Harvard. You're a smarty pants. There's no reason for you to do this. That was Jim Koch then. This is Jim Koch, the multi-billionaire now, out with a great book, Quench Your Own Thirst, Business Lessons Learned Over a Beer or Two. Good to have you.
Hi there.
You seem excited.
Can I
yeah, sure.
share some liquid assets? I know the banks are having a little trouble, but there's always liquid assets, Neil.
Do you drink a lot of your product?
Yeah.
You do?
Well, I still taste a sample of every batch. So it's one of the first things I do in the morning is I'll taste.
In the morning?
Yeah, because your palate's fresher before you've ruined it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's breakfast.
Now, when you started this around the mid-'80s, right? I mean, you were doing very, very well. The idea that, you know, specialty brewers, that was something the United States was not thought to be very good at.
Yeah,
so
American beer
what were you
was
trying to prove? Yeah, it was a big joke.
And I actually had a very simple thing that I wanted to prove. I wanted to prove that a small, independent American brewer could make some of the best beer in the world. And I named my beer Sam Adams because I hoped that it would start a beer revolution in the United States, just like Sam Adams had started a political revolution. And
wouldn't Sam Adams be proud today?
Oh, he would be drinking with us.
Wonder how he'd feel about Hamilton getting a Broadway show, though. And
I think he'd be okay as long
you know,
as he'd rather have a beer.
We're kidding here. You know, you did prove a lot of skeptics, including your dad, wrong. But your dad did share something very special with you when you started.
Yeah, he finally came around, and he took me up in the attic, and he gave me a family recipe, which became Sam Adams Boston Lager, and helped launch this whole craft beer revolution.
How was it selling that to skeptical folks who said, well, you know, maybe German, but not American?
It was hard in the beginning, and you know, I talk about it in Quench Your Own Thirst about learning to sell, because I had, you know, all these great degrees. I was working at this fancy consulting firm. I had this beautiful office overlooking Boston Harbor on the 33rd floor, and one day, you know, I got into the elevator and went down to the street with cold beer in my briefcase and a sleeve of cups, and I started cold calling on bars in Boston, and they were very skeptical.
You didn't have any problems, did you? I mean,
well, I talk about in the book, my best sales call ever, a guy pulled a gun on me.
Wow.
And after that, you know, when somebody turned me down, I said, oh, that wasn't so bad. At least they didn't put a gun on me.
But you were very diligent about it and worked very hard about it. But the one thing, sure, I think that's legal.
Yeah,
the one thing
is against broadcasting under the influence.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a law degree. I will tell you.
Really?
Drinking on the air is a form of protected free speech. So Sam Adams, let us
It's my
drink
cover
on the
for
air.
my show, Jim.
You got it.
Let me, though, get a sense from you. I joke with you, and I wasn't joking, that your commercials were memorable, are memorable. And I think it's your voice. How did that happen where you were doing the commercials for Sam Adams?
Well, I can tell you, we traded beer for airtime with a radio station in Boston, and they said, well, you got to have commercials. And, you know, I looked into it, and you had to, like, get talent, and then you had to pay them residuals, and the company was like 4 people. So I don't have anybody to keep track of residuals. Can I do it myself? And the union rule allowed you to do it for your own product, so I wrote my ads. I started.
So you did write them, right? I mean,
yeah.
You made it sound like this is not just a beer, this is like an event.
Yeah, well, it took beer to a much higher level than people had really thought about. Everybody thought beer was cold and fizzy, and it came in a can, and you could crush it on your forehead. And
I've
all of a sudden,
I've done that.
Good, I can sort of see it.
See it, yeah.
Yeah. And this took beer really into the world of good wine and good food. It treated beer as a culinary experience, as a quality experience.
You know what I notice about billionaires and those who succeed? They never ease up. Even when they're successful, they're still working their heinies off. And apparently all evidence suggests you are as well. Why is that, when you could just sort of coast?
Well, what fun would that be? I mean, I've been getting up every morning for 32 years, and I'm excited because I got to do what I really wanted in life. I got to do something that I was really passionate about. And, you know, we've grown for those 32 years and
Sure.
done well, but I think we've been able to grow because we've kept that heart and that passion and that pride of a craft brewer.
Is it true you don't really flip over negative people? You don't like that?
Well, you got to explain. Flip over.
People who are negative. They see a lot of reasons why you can't do something.
Yeah, it's something that I did learn from my dad. He was a very practical guy, and he said, Jim, remember, every problem has a solution. Doesn't mean you can find it and see it, but it's out there. So I've always
Yet you ignored his doubts.
I did, because I believed in myself, and I believed he would ultimately.
Well, he was concerned for you, that it might torpedo and you might be. Right?
Well, and he lived, you know, he got out of brewmaster school in 1948 when the big national brewers were grinding up all the little guys. And of course, that
still happened. That's what I mean, right? And now we got just a couple of big beer behemoths, if you think about it.
I mean, people don't realize it, but today, 90% of the beer made in the United States is made by two big intergalactic brewing conglomerates, and one of them is buying the other. That's how crazy it is. So you have that on one side.
Are you ever tempted, here, I'll sell it all?
No, I mean, you know, what would I do if I had this big pile of money? I'd want to keep making beer, so I'd go buy a brewery, but I already have a brewery. So why not keep what I have and continue to do what I love?
You fall prey to the same pressures that are on them, right? They're dealing with, you know, there's a drought in much of Europe. You know, the prices are going up. Is there a limit to how much Americans or beer drinkers in general will pay?
I think Americans will pay for quality. So the issue is not, you know, how can you get them to buy a beer for $15 a six-pack or $20 a six-pack? How do you make a beer that is good enough to be worth it? And I'll give you an example. We make a beer called Samuel Adams Utopias. It sells for $200 a bottle.
Wow.
And we make 15,000 bottles a year. We sell every bottle we make. We have to ration it.
Is that
People
right?
will scalp it on eBay because it's an amazing beer. It's 60 proof, so it's the strongest natural.
Why does Sean Hannity pay that much? I mean,
because he's got good taste.
Yeah, I see. Well, continued success, Jim. It's a remarkable story, and you stuck with it. How much beer do you drink a day?
You know, 2 or 3 beers a day is
I don't believe
my norm.
I think it's a lot more.
Well, maybe I'll try to keep count of it.
I'm kidding.
But I think
Jim
I've
Koch,
had 30,000 Sam Adams in the last 30 years.
Is that right? And he's thin and fit. Quench your own thirst. Business lessons earned over a beer or two. Good man, good story.
Cheers.
Classic Americana. And Sam Adams, wherever you are, outside of getting a Broadway show, it doesn't get better than this.